and members of the press, the gallery, a warm welcome to you. Declare open the March meeting of Temora Shire Council, and thank you for making the effort to be here. This meeting is being recorded and will be placed on Temora Shire Council's webpage for public information, and all present today are reminded that whilst we are speaking, that we're agreeing that our views and our comments are being recorded and published. And we're also reminded that if or when speaking, that we are of course to be respectful to others and using the appropriate language. Temora Shire Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures during this council meeting. Councillors, we now proceed to the acknowledgement of country. As we begin our meeting today, Temora Shire councillors, our senior staff and I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of Temora Shire's land and waters, the Wiradjuri people. We pay our heartfelt respect to their elders, both past and present, acknowledging the role they have and will continue to play as members of our Temora Shire community, a special place we all proudly call home. Thank you, councillors. We now go to the opening prayer, and if we'd bow our heads in prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to be together for this special this council meeting of Temora Shire, and I'd ask you to please bless and continue to protect and look over us as councillors, as staff and as citizens of the Temora Shire community, together with our loved ones. And I ask you to please ensure that we have positive and robust, respectful discussion, as we always do here at Temora Shire, and continue to encourage us in the works that we do to help make Temora Shire the extra special place we know it to be. And Heavenly Father, we just ask you to please continue to give us that extra love and enthusiasm to continue in the respective roles that we have, and we do it, all of this, in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you. We now go to apologies. We have apologies. Councillor Good, you're not apologising? No, that's all right. Not late by much. There's no apologies. Mr. Dallenberg, the engineering works manager. Has someone moved that apology is approved? Councillor Oliver. Thank you, Councillor Reinhold. Moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Where's Mr. Lee? Councillors, we're supposed to have a newly appointed council meeting reporter for council, Mr. David Lee, and we hope that he's okay. He's not here yet, but I'm sure that he'll resume his seat next to the Temora Independent representative. We now go on to declaration of any interest at this time. Is there any declarations? Any? Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to declare a pecuniary interest in relation to the development application for Pardy's Mill. I am the solicitor for the developer.
Thanks very much, Councillor Good. Just on that same one, I'll be declaring a non-pecuniary only due to the fact that the proposed development is in the street in which I reside. Any further declarations at this time? The Director of Administration and Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Non-pecuniary in relation to 21.2, staff recognition flooding, and pecuniary in relation to 21.3, staff recognition heavy patching.
Thank you, Madam Director. I'll go now to the Director of Environmental Services.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'll declare a pecuniary in relation to 14.7.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Anything further at this time? And if you don't think of it this time, you can, of course, raise it later. Thank you very much. Let's now proceed to confirmation of the February minutes of Temora Shire Council. If someone was present care to move, they be received as a true and correct record, please. Thank you, Councillor Good. You'll move that way. Second of the Deputy Mayor. Councillor Sinclair moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. The contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very, very much. Matters arising, please, Mr. General Manager.
No specific matters arising, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillors, we don't have a minute. We now proceed to the business paper. So we go to page 11, the minutes of the Assets and Operations Committee report. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, is the chairman.
Mr Mayor, I move the report be received.
Thank you. The Deputy Mayor is Councillor McLaren, has seconded the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Go to the Deputy Mayor.
Nothing at this stage, Mr Mayor.
Nothing at this stage. Thank you. I will commend Mr Deputy Mayor the carrot cake that I was initiated to at the CWA rooms at Area Park. It was outstanding, and we're so grateful to Councillor Judd and Mrs Judd and the ladies at CWA for their hospitality.
Certainly, yeah.
So nothing further, Mr Deputy Mayor? Thank you. We'll go to Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I was unable to attend the Assets meeting at Area Park on last Tuesday because of work commitments and stuff. But I noticed there's more tree request removals here. And it seems like there's an influx or an inundation of these things just recently. There was several last month and another couple this month. I think somewhere along the line, Temora people just have to learn to live with these trees. I mean, we can't just keep chopping them down as soon as they get to a certain size. You go to other towns and they have these beautiful big street trees that are, you know, thick around the girth and right up alongside buildings and fences and stuff and footpaths and one thing and another, and they seem to be able to live with them. So I don't know, and I don't understand why we've got to keep removing ours all the time. But that's just a comment that I'd like to make, and I'll say no more. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No, thanks, Councillor Oliver, and I know that there were several of your fellow councillors that shared some similar views. Thank you, councillors. The report, Assets and Operations Committee report and its recommendations are there for your consideration. Is someone prepared to move the recommendations in the report, or is there an alternate motion? Councillor Good?
I'll move the recommendations.
Thank you. So Councillor Good's moving the Assets and Operations Committee report and recommendations are adopted. Seconder for the motion, Councillor Irvine. Thank you. Moved and seconded. Further discussion? There's no further discussion. I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. I declare the motion carried, and I thank you. Councillors, we go over to page 99, the Temora Shire Council's Traffic Committee report. I'm the chairman of that committee, and someone prepared to move that the report is received, please. Councillor Oliver, thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Councillors, the committee considered the matters that are listed there in the report, and the report and recommendations are there for Council to consider. I'll go to Councillor Judd.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Item 4.4, the request for compression braking signs at Area Park. I'm disappointed with the recommendation there. I do sympathise with the residents down that end of town, and yeah, I'm just wondering whether when you drive around the countryside, nearly every town you go into has got the signs, these signs. I think the day will have to become when we'll need them both for Temora and Area Park, I think. So anyway, won't be supporting that motion. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor Judd. I'll go to Councillor Oliver, who's a member of that committee.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. The reason for the recommendation was, Councillor Judd, that Transport for New South Wales have done studies and surveys, and it seems like not many people pay attention to these actual signs, and they'll just use their engine brakes anyway. So we just thought it's probably just a waste of time and money to put it up. So that was the reason for just noting the report. So, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Oliver. That is correct. That was their advice. But again, it's a matter. Just remember, the committee are bringing back recommendations. So I don't know, Councillor Judd, are you wishing to move an alternate in relation to 4.4, request for compression brake signs at Area Park, or?
No, not at this stage. I might, but I think the day will come and we'll have to do it. So, yep.
Thanks very much, Councillor Judd. Well, councillors, you have the report there for the Traffic Committee and its recommendations. Is someone prepared to move the report and the recommendations, or is there an alternate motion? The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
I'll move the report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Sinclair is moving that the Traffic Committee report and recommendations be adopted. Thank you. Seconded, Councillor Reinhold. Moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Councillors, we have a late report, which is the Temora Aerodrome Committee report. So it's one of the thick bundles on your desks. So the report commences on page 6 of that specific document. You all should have a copy of that. And Councillor Judd is the chairman of that committee. Councillor Judd.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that the report be received.
Thank you. Councillor Judd has moved the report is received. Is there a seconder for the motion? Thank you. Councillor Irvine moved. Seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Councillor Judd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There are two main items. One was an event application from the aerobatics. They were supposed to come back in last month, but they're now applying to come in early October. The committee is recommending that be approved. And the second item is the draft aerodrome manual, which our assets manager, engineering manager, has been working on for some time and keen to get it finished. And so hopefully with a bit more input, we should be able to bring that back to a future meeting. So, and I'll go over to the back to general business, and I'll just mention a couple of things. Because of the hold up with the Canberra bomber cartridges still being out there, the antique aircraft rally was supposed to be in April as well. Now it's been scheduled now and put back to the 3rd of September. And I must commend, it was mentioned in assets and operations, but I must commend the Aviation Museum for their planned showcase at the lake coming up in early April. And it's going to be a free event. And this is because they can't hold a planned event at the aerodrome. So, and the next showcase is planned for the 1st of May, I think, or very early May. And at this stage, they're not very hopeful that the cartridges will be disposed of by then. So, they've gone through all the process of the risk assessments and all this sort of thing. And that what I heard the other day is that they hope to remove in the first few days of April. Now that goes ahead, well, the showcase in May will probably be right, but I just ask that Council probably liaise with the Aviation Museum and the aerodrome users. If it seems to be that the bureaucracy is in no hurry to progress this task, and I think if needed, we may just have to use political means if there's if it goes past early April. I think we should contact the local politicians. Anyway. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks very much, Councillor Judd. Well, I've seen nods around the chamber, and if Councillor Judd, we can ask you to also please liaise with the executive, and when you feel, if necessary, then we can together make those representations with Council's blessing. Thank you very much. Councillors, you have the report there, and well done to the committee and particularly the assets engineering manager and those involved with the formulation of the document. obviously a heck of a lot of work's gone into it. And Councillor Judd?
Unfortunately, it was mentioned the other day that it's like a lot of things. The manual for Temora Airport, which is a relatively small airport, same nearly manual as for large airport. We've got to go to the Australian sort of rigmarole and regulations. So, yeah. But well done to our assets manager for the work he's done so far.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Judd. Councillors, you have the Aerodrome Users Committee report and its recommendations there for you to consider. Is someone prepared to adopt that report, or is there an alternate motion? Councillor Irvine?
Motion to adopt.
Councillor Irvine's moving that the Aerodrome Users Committee report and recommendations be adopted. Seconder, Councillor Judd, thank you. Moved, seconded, further discussion? If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Councillors, that's all the committee reports. We go over to page 127 and we have delegates' reports. Are there any delegates' reports, please, that council have? I go to Councillor Reinhold.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'd like to point out a few things to council. You've probably seen these posters around town.
Yes.
The Drench, a healthy dose of culture, and then we've got the art and craft trail coming up. It's been a fantastic month of culture in town. The feedback from the community has been fantastic. The Cooee to Marie had two performances with a good crowd both nights of over 100 each night. The Elton John tribute show was got a little bit wet, but it was a fantastic, drenching. Music in the Regions, I went to that on Tuesday night at Platform Y. This was last week. It was a classical duo of guitar and saxophonist. We had 4 trains serenade us as they went past. They said they've never played on a railway station before, but it was a really lovely evening. The art workshops have been fully booked and showcase our fantastic art centre. What else have we got? And hope that this can be an annual event. This Friday we have got the David Schlunke exhibition that Councillor McLaren might expand on a little bit later, but I'd really like to congratulate Craig Sinclair, Shontaine Ward and Robin Berkner for a fantastic effort.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Councillor Reinhold, for those remarks. And I know that Councillor McLaren and her team are working hard in relation to the David Schlunke exhibition. Councillor McLaren, do you have anything to add?
Oh, just to say the numbers are looking pretty healthy for tomorrow night. We've got catering all in place and the paintings have been delivered and set up in the Bill Spears is doing an amazing job. It looks very professional, so I encourage everyone to attend. Thank you.
Thanks. Councillor
6
Reinhold.
p.m. the Bundawarra Centre tomorrow night.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Councillor Reinhold, for that report, and to Councillor McLaren as well. Further delegates' reports, I go to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a little bit of a report on the last Goldfields meeting, which was in February, that sort of concerned Temora Shire. A couple of things, the replacement of the water pipe along Thanaring Road, which got held up by the whole wet weather last year, was supposed to be completed pretty much by now, but it's the first 8 kilometres has now been finished and pressurised and working, and plus a spur line off down the Thanaring School Road has been completed. So that's done. And the other one, which is not tomorrow, but there's a major spend going on at West Wyong, which is putting in a new reservoir and plus replacing all the main into West Wyong. I think about now they've about hit the main street, replacing the pipe up the main street, so I can imagine things might be a bit messy out there at the moment, but anyway, had to be done. The other thing, I filled in for the Mayor at the Country Mayors Association meeting, along with the General Manager in Newcastle last week. Very interesting. We had a tour of the port by boat at the end of after the meeting. Had the CEO of the Port of Newcastle give us a rundown on what was going on there. Quite interesting, actually. It's the amount of coal they put through there. So, I think last financial year was 136 million tonne of coal. This year they're on target to do about 145. But they're saying that their projected target was about 190 or something like that, so they're behind their projected amount. But that was due to the wet weather last year and had a few line washouts and so forth like that. But that is a bit of Achilles heel to them, because that is, I forget the exact figures, but yeah, 80 or 90% I think of their income. So they're working on other things to get more income, and then they've actually just got funding or approved funding for the first stage of a container terminal there, $1.1 billion just to put the first stage of it. So it's all big money, but and they've got a few other things going on there too. One interesting thing is, they said all the blades for the wind turbines, or most of them, 80 or 90% I think, come in through into Australia, or well, eastern coast through Port of Newcastle. And when they first started coming in, I think it was 53 metres, Mr. General Manager, the longest ones. They're now up to 102 metres.
Mr. General Manager?
They're projecting them. The next one coming in will be 106 metres long, and they're one piece. So it's a bit. It's the 102 metres they can handle getting in the port with them. He said 106 is going to cause a few extra problems, but it'd be interesting to see them on a truck being moved out and up. You know, they're all on top of hills and stuff. So yeah, that was quite interesting, I thought. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But no, it was a good meeting, and I guess one of the things, it was as far as the meeting goes, that they had on the night before, they had a function where the mayoress of Newcastle spoke out, welcoming everybody, and she made the comment that, you know, they'd perhaps like to be associate member of the Country Mayors Association. So there was quite a discussion at the meeting next morning, and it was either for or against. You know, a lot were saying, oh, that should be their class as a country council, regional council. But from my way, I think it's why they are. It's sort of missing the intent of what the Country Mayors Association is about. And then there's even push for some that they should be full members, not associate members. So that'll be a discussion that's going to come up, I think, between now and the next meeting. But so I'm interested to see the feedback on that. Because if you include Newcastle, then you've got to look at Wollongong, and then someone mentioned Central Coast, and I think it's gets out of hand. And if they just want to be associate members, I can see potential, reason for that. They're there, they can listen to what's going on, have input even, but not vote. I think there's potential to be, reason to be associate members, but I'm not sure about the full members. Anyway, thanks for saying it.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and I do thank you for being able to attend. I very regretful I couldn't, but I was grateful that you're able to attend with the General Manager. And that'll be a topic for debate, which I'm not sure what the councillors think, but I'm sure if there is a proposal, there will be a report to each of our member councils to provide a view in relation to what is to be done with Newcastle and the like. So thank you again for that. Further delegates reports, Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just that to report that the heritage trains have started up again for 2023. We had vintage rail journeys here the other day, and we're expecting another one in early April as well. The vintage rail journeys one was quite good because it had Greg Granger, who does the Travel Oz program on Channel 7, and he done a few interviews at the station. I would imagine he'd done a few interviews at the Bundawarra Centre and the Aviation Museum as well. So Temora will feature in that program, and I'm led to believe that this program will be aired on Easter Saturday at about 8 p.m. So on Channel 7, I think it's 7 but just check your program guys just to make sure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Oliver. That's great news. It really is. Thank you for sharing that. Councillors, further delegates' reports. I wanted to mention to Council that the REROC Board recently indicated that a proposal is that the membership fees for the 1st of July, the new financial year, will be, remember that the JO will be in hiatus, and so the board will still meet once every 4 months, etc., but it'll obviously have a very, very, well, it's just ticking a box, let's be frank. And so therefore, there won't be any fees associated with that as JO going forward. So the proposal will be that $38,000 for general purpose councils and $19,000 for county councils. And there is a proposal for the county to have 1 vote as opposed to the general purpose that have 2 votes. And I've actually written to, as chairman of the REROC board, invited the Wagga City Council and Riverina Water back to REROC, so we'll see what they have to decide in relation to that. But there will be a report, Mr. General Manager, that will be furnished to Council to consider in due course in the coming months, I would think. So that's for your information. Councillors, obviously those that were able to attend the very special occasion of the Freedom of the Shire award ceremony with honouring Councillor Judd, Mr. Peter Spears and Mr. Ian McRae as former mayors. That was a very special occasion for many reasons, and it's lovely even just to reflect on it now, let alone those that were recipients. And I just thank those that were able to attend that very special and unique occasion. And again, to Councillor Judd, warm congratulations continue to be with you and your family on the most significant honour that this council can bestow.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the Mayor, councillors and staff for your support. It was a great night and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just lastly, councillors, I had the honour of extending warm congratulations on behalf of council and the community at the Saturday's 50th anniversary of the Royal Museum live exhibition. It was just such and I saw several of my colleagues out there as well at various stages, and it was just a tremendous occasion, and the member for Cootamundra was there as well. Our Citizen of the Year, Mrs. Rosalind Hartwig, opened it, which was a great thrill to see. And of course, the launch of the Kui to Marie Norell book, which the manager of the museum, Mr. Bill Spears, he should be so proud. I've purchased a copy. I haven't read it, but I've asked him to sign it for me as well. But our warm congratulations to the President, Mr. Robert Maslin, who it was very special, councillors, to see him standing on the same spot that his father stood 50 years earlier as the President as well. And that was a special moment for Mr. Maslin and all of us that were there as well. So again, well done to the management committees past and present, and volunteers past and present, but a special thank you to Mr. Spears for his efforts as well. So thank you, councillors. No further delegates' reports. Let's proceed over to page 128, the Mayor's report for the month of February. And there's a recommendation on page 131 that the Mayor's report be noted. Thank you, Councillor Good. Your moving recommendation. Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, seconded the motion. Moved and seconded. Further discussion? If not, I'll put the discussion. Councillor Reinhold.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to highlight the retiring of Gary Lynch from Gazza's. It's been an icon shop in our town for 50 years, and I think it's amazing. So I'd just like to pass on my best wishes for a happy retirement.
Thanks, Councillor Reinhold. And yes, it It was, I've never seen Mr Lynch emotional sweeping footpaths when we did it for the last time together, but he can be very, very proud of his contributions, that's for sure, to the business and wider community. So thank you. If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. A motion, please, to receive the staff reports. Councillor Judd, Councillor Oliver moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Let's go to page 133, the General Manager's Report, 12.1, Calendar of Events, the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As read, the calendar of events is presented.
Thank you. Councillors, you have the calendar of events before you, and there's a recommendation there that they be so noted. Councillor Good, you're moving the recommendation. Thank you. Councillor Bushell, seconded the motion. Moved. Seconded. Further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Page 134, 12.2, the seals, the General Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. You'll see that there's one seal, councillors, but there's also two others that have arrived in the last couple of days. That is a loan agreement with Dr Parry Homes and the sale of land in Apollo Place.
Thank you very much. Councillors, you will note those two extra late that are obviously deemed urgent. We don't want to defer it any further. Councillor Oliver.
I'll move this. Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll move that the seals be affixed.
Thank you. Moving that way. Second to Councillor Judd. Thank you. Moved. Seconded. Is further discussion? There's no further discussion. I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very, very much. And of course, I noticed Councillor McLaren has just flagged that she wasn't sure because they weren't listed whether Councillor McLaren declares that interest being a member of the board. So I think it's appropriate to just note that, please, Mr General Manager. Thanks, Councillor McLaren. Thank you. Let's go to page 135, 12.3, Sister City Committee and the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, the Sister City membership was confirmed in September. They have had, though, a couple of extra people wanted to join the committee, and also one resigned from the committee. So they've requested that the council ratify the members that are there, which is Peter Spears, Helen Spears, Robert Brabham, Tanya Botha, Anne Giacomo, Fabio Giacomo and Jeff Cornford, and then our council delegate is Councillor Good.
Thank you. Councillor Good, you're the chairman of that committee.
I'd just like to move the recommendation.
Thank you. So you're moving the recommendation on page 135 that council endorses the names for the Sister City Committee. Thank you. Second for the motion, please. Thank you, Councillor Judd. Moved, seconded. Further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Let's go to page 137, 12.4, Risk Appetite Matrix, the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is provided to Council from our Risk Officer. This was originally put to the Risk Management Committee, but the Risk Management Committee's minutes don't come to Council, they go to the ARIC. So this needs adoption by Council to enable the risk management framework to be developed further. So the Risk Manager has asked that we adopt this framework.
Thank you very much, councillors. The report is there for you to consider. Councillor Good.
I'll move the recommendation, Mr.
Thank you. Councillor Good has moved the recommendation. That is that Council adopt document RM 100.3, Risk Appetite Matrix for use and inclusion in the risk management framework. Seconded for the motion, Councillor McLaren. Thank you. Moved. Seconded. Further discussion? There's no further discussion. I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gentleman. Nothing of an urgent late nature, please.
No, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Councillors, let's go to page 144, the Engineering Services Department report. And of course, you'll have to be gentle. The Engineering Asset Manager is flying solo today in the absence of the Works Manager. We go to 13.1, Transport for New South Wales Projects Update, the Engineering Asset Manager.
Thanks, Mr Mayor.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. The report is as written.
Thank you. The Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, just a minor mistake, I think, on page 145 in the first line of the summary of projects. It says, at the end of the line, it says east of Temora, but I think it may be supposed to be west of Temora. Right,
I think you might be right. Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. And the engineers concurred and will make that amendment. Thank you. And okay. Councillors, the report is there for you to consider, and there is a recommendation on page 146 that the report is noted for you to consider. Councillor Good?
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Good's noting that Council note the update Transport for New South Wales projects. Is there a seconder? Councillor Oliver, thank you. Moved, seconded. Further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion. Councillor Irvine.
Just a question to the Engineering Assets Manager. None of this is detrimental to any of your programs? You don't see any problems with any of these changes, or it's all good?
Thank you, Councillor Irvine. The Engineering Assets Manager.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Fraction hard for me to comment just on the fact that Alex runs the programs, but...
You can take it on notice.
Oh, listen, I don't think so. I think they'll juggle to give this priority. I think I mentioned it before, it was a massive risk of getting pushed back, and I still probably think that it's a massive risk of getting pushed back till after harvest, but I think we just wait and see.
Thank you. Councillors, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Councillors, we proceed over to page 156, 13.2, Flood Damage Update, the Engineering Asset Manager.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Again, this is as written, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Thank you very much. I go now to Councillor Judd.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Especially on page 158, the need for evidence now to put in claims for our flood damage and that, and really concerns me. I mean, some years ago, I remember when we had to put on special employees for our risk assessment to go around taking photos of signage up for roadworks and all this sort of thing before we could do it. Now it looks like you might have to have a special employee just go around with a camera to prove flood damage. And I think, I was just wondering whether the manager might comment about that.
Thanks, Councillor Judd. The Engineering Assets Manager.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, this is really something that's progressed quite rapidly in the way that I don't believe the guidelines are that much different to the past, but it's much more difficult to make claims now. I still think that we just need to continue to hold our position. I think if you look at the couple of clauses that Alex has put in this report, the lowest level of evidence I think we can meet. But yeah, no, it's heading down the path of, that we have to pretty much video our whole road network every so often, which I think we're going to have to do it. Yeah, I don't know who's doing it or how, but...
Thank you, Mr Manager. Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I've noticed that the Transport for New South Wales have a car going around with a dozen or so cameras on it. Is it worth making a representation to them for them to do that video evidence once looks like we need every 3 years to drive along all our roads, or if we can hire that car?
Thanks, Councillor Good. The Engineering Assets Manager.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Listen, I think there'd be contractors that can do it. It's just
Not a cost, isn't it?
Yeah, it's another cost, and it's not the sort of thing that I suspect will be that cheap. And you know, the data really becomes quite out of date quite fast, and it really depends. Like particularly with unsealed roads, it just depends where the road is within its maintenance cycle. Like you can get an unsealed road that looks like absolute junk if it hasn't been maintenance graded for 12 months. But the road next to it, if it has been graded, could be in excellent condition. You know what I mean? So it's very, very ambiguous, and it's a pretty tough space to. You know, I think, to be honest, maintenance records such as resheet expenditure and road condition rating stuff should go a long way, and that's what we do have at the moment. But yeah, they seem to be really chasing photographic evidence.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. To Councillor Judd's earlier remarks, I took it Councillor Judd as frankly another slap in the face for local government in terms of where's that trust and that respect that I believe we all work so hard to earn. Anyway, thank you. Councillor Irvine.
Just a question to the assets manager. Is there any point in just photographing at the completion of works whenever you do complete a project and just putting it in the file?
Thank you, Councillor Irvine. The Engineering Assets Manager.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Again, I think that's exactly where it's headed, and that's something for. I guess there's two parts of this. My role probably sits at the pre-disaster condition. That's really something that sits with asset management and sits with me. Then the other side of it is like the post-completion evidence or disaster evidence really sits in Alex's role, and I think there's a fair bit of improvement to have to happen in both to satisfy the requirements. Like, I guess what I'd point out is like we've had other claims that have been successful, and we've done no different. In this particular claim, it's just that I guess as there are more disasters and as the money gets up there, they're just putting some controls in place to make sure that things are genuine, which I guess you can understand, but it makes it difficult.
Thank you. I'll go to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just wondering whether it's worth bringing this to the attention of our politicians to say that this is what's happening. It's really unworkable. It's just it's going to add a huge cost to councils' budget and so forth. And it's been put in place by bureaucrats that probably don't even know where rural Australia is. Someone's sitting up in an office somewhere and think this is a great idea. So I don't think it's any harm to look through a local member and so forth, just to maybe they can have a word.
Thanks, Mr. Deputy Mayor. I know we don't see you get your gander up too often, but I know this did get your gander up, and I can understand why. But I think you make a very, very wise suggestion for council to consider. Councillors, there is a recommendation there for you to consider. Also keeping in mind what the Deputy Mayor has said. Happy to field a motion. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move the recommendation, but add to it that we lobby our local state politician. And I also think this needs to go through REROC and Country Mayors Association. I think it'd be good. It'd be something that they would have a bit of swing.
So is it just the state member or also the federal member?
Well, I suppose, no. Is it? Yeah.
State and federal. I defer to the General Manager.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Well, the funding comes from both governments, so it should be both.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So the Deputy Mayor has moved the recommendation that Council lobby the Commonwealth New South Wales Reconstruction Authority for amendment of the natural disaster funding guidelines or conditions relating to on-cost to allow full expenditure to be eligible, claiming by Council, and further that Council also lobby our state and federal members of Parliament and New South Wales country mayors and REROC.
In relation to it being...
Yeah, the pre-disaster condition evidence component. Councillor Judd, second the motion. Thank you. Moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Thank you. Is there further discussion? If not, I will put the important motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Anything of a urgent, late nature, Mr. Engineer?
No, thanks.
Thank you. Councillors, let's go over to page 163, the Environmental Services Department Report, 14.1, Temora Golf Club Plan of Management. The Director.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. The report is as written, and I'll just make the same comment for the next 5 items. Just feedback from the Department of Crown Lands about the draft plans of management that we sent them. They made some minor changes and requested that we re-advertise again. So that's what we're doing.
Thanks, Mr. Director. Pardon me, councillors. There is a recommendation in relation to the Temora Golf Club Plan of Management on page 163 for you to consider, or is there an alternative? Councillor Good.
I'll move the recommendation, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Good. Has moved the recommendation. Second, Councillor Irvine. Moved, seconded. Is there further discussion? Further discussion, Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just seeing how the next couple of items are all the same. Can we move these as a job lot to save a bit of time? Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Oliver. I'd probably prefer to deal with it separately, but advice from the General Manager.
Yeah, we discussed moving bulk items and it was rejected in the Code of Meeting Practice.
Oh, you're quite right. Thanks, Mr. General Manager. Thanks, Councillor Oliver. At least reminds us all of what's in that document. So moved and seconded. No further discussion. I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Over to page 187, 14.2, the Temora Agriculture Innovation Centre Plan of Management. And again, there's a recommendation there for you to consider. Councillor Good.
I'll move the recommendation, Mr.
Thank you. Councillor Good has moved the recommendation. Seconder for the motion, Councillor Irvine moved. Seconded. Is there further discussion? There's no further discussion. I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Councillors, over to page 205, 14.3, Lakes and Tenery Plan of Management. There is a recommendation there for Council to consider, which of course is, for those listening, place Lakes and Tenery Plan of Management on public exhibition and further receive a report, future report on the outcome of the public exhibition. Councillor Good.
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Good has moved that way. Seconded the Deputy Mayor. Councillor Sinclair moved. Seconded. Is there further discussion? Councillor Bushell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One question I do have is when they do come back, do we have to have the whole plan in the next report or can we save paper?
Thank you, Councillor Bushell. I'm sure that if the Director would be happy that there could be a report, and if those that would like to, if they haven't kept their original copy, that they could ask to view one at an alternate time. The Director?
We'll put a copy on the hub.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So no further discussion. I'll put the motion in relation to 14.3 Lakes and Tenery Plan of Management. All those of that opinion, please say aye. The contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. I thank you. Councillors, we proceed to page 231, 14.4, Temora Sports Grounds and Parks Plan of Management. There is again, recommendation as per the previous two for Council to consider, but I also understand that the Town Planner, you're recommending that it also be specifically sent to Temora District Sports Council.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'm happy to recommend that to Council.
Thank you. And the Director, I'd assume, is happy with that. Go to Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move the recommendation with the addition, point 3, that it be forwarded to the Temora Sports Council.
Thank you very much. Seconded for the motion, Councillor Bushell. Thank you. Moved, seconded. Further discussion? There's no further discussion. I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried, and I do thank you. very much. Councillors, let's now go to your second bundle, 271, item 14.5, generic Crown Land Plan of Management. And again, we have the same. Now, nothing to add, Mr. Director or Madam Town Planner?
No, Mr Mayor.
Thank you.
For council's information that, there's a separate plan of management coming for the Temora Caravan Park. It's currently with Crown Lands. They're doing their first review of it before I'll hopefully bring that to council next month.
Thank you very, very much. I go now to Councillor Good.
I'll move the recommendation, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Good. Second for the motion, please, Councillor Oliver. Thank you very much. Moved, seconded. Is there further discussion? I've just stuffed this bloody pen. If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. I declare that motion carried. Thank you very much. Councillors, we get to 323, which the member of our gallery will be very pleased to hear. Councillors, we have 14.6, development application, Flour Mill Hotel, etc. I go to the Director of Environmental Services.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, very exciting development.
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. Councillor Good, I do apologise. You did flag your interest as the acting solicitor for the developer, and Councillor Good is vacating the chamber, and I now go to the Director.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Just introducing a very comprehensive planning report prepared by our town planner. The sums up the development application process, the way it was exhibited, the submissions received, none of which were by way of objection. We received submissions from our Heritage Advisor and the Traffic Committee. There was some back and forth with the developer and the Heritage Advisor, compromises on both sides. That's summarised in the tables within the report. And our recommendation is approval with conditions on page, can someone help me?
358.
358, thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Director. And yes, you are quite right. It is always exciting to receive development applications for council to consider. And it is, I do note that we do have one of the co-developers in the chamber this afternoon, Mr. Perry, who has addressed council previously. So I acknowledge Mr. Perry. I go now to Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. This is a very exciting development before us today. One I'm very pleased to say that I will be supporting. It tidies up a very old and derelict building that's been a bit of an eyesore for this community for quite some time. And to see the uses that it's going to be put to with the new development, it's just going to really enhance not only that precinct but also our community as well. So I say, as I said, I'll be supporting this. So I won't say anything more till someone else comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. Councillors, other comments, views. Councillor Irvine.
I'd just like to move that council approve the development.
So, Councillor Irvine, you're moving the recommendation, page 358, that council approve the development application 81-2022, the Flour Mill Hotel, Brewery and Function Centre, subject to conditions. Thank you. Seconder for the motion. Thank you, Councillor Oliver. Moved, seconded. In discussion. I'll go to, got a click. Councillor Judd.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. As expressed at the recent Heritage meeting, my only regret is about the party's flour mill sign not being prominent anymore, but I see that there's probably a compromise being worked out, and hopefully the heritage of that site can be preserved, and it's good to see, but overall I'm very supportive of the development. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much, Councillor Judd. Look, I have to say that was my only reservation, and I know that our family were part owners of that mill for many years, and spent many times in the old office there, and my father allegedly cured my fear of heights by making me sit on the top of the cement silos way back. I think it made it worse. But again, it is iconic, that sign, but I acknowledge that the developers seem to have noted that would be an issue that should be considered. So thank you, Councillor Judd. Further discussion? I go to Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I'm very supportive of this project as well. It's a very high class, very smart finished building, and it will become a landmark in Temora. I think the current building is, if nothing's done with it, it's just going to crumble into the ground. There's already a lot of damage, so it's very timely that it's been rescued at this stage, and I fully support the project.
Yeah, thanks very much, Councillor McLaren. Well, councillors, if there's no further discussion, I'm going to put the motion and ask you to please raise your hands, because we have to record every councillor's vote being a development application. So I will put the motion moved by Councillor Irvine and Councillor Oliver that council approve the development application, the Temora Flour Mill, Hotel, Brewery and Function Centre, subject to conditions. All those of that opinion, please raise your hands. And I declare the motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you very much, and council congratulates Mr Perry and the developers and wish them all the very best. Councillors, it's very exciting to have one development application, but to have yet another one before us of significance is most exciting. And we go to page 380, 14.7. The Director.
I've got to declare a pecuniary interest in this and
yes.
hand over to the Town Planner.
Thank you. Yes, the Director did flag that interest earlier and is vacating the chamber, and I now defer to the Town Planner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So I've provided a planning report about the proposed unit development. As you'll note, there were a number of submissions. They have been responded to by the applicant, and there's additional comments there. It is a recommendation for approval. There is a condition that I have proposed, which is the use of highlight windows to respond to the concerns of some of the neighbours about overlooking, but it's for council's decision if they wish to impose that or any other conditions. So for the council decision.
Thanks very much, Madam Town Planner. Councillors, of course, you heard from Mrs Howard earlier with her heartfelt remarks, and of course the developer, Mr Hartwig, as well, and comments in relation to this development. And just while you're reflecting, I would just, I have to say that, you know, of course housing is at a crisis point, we all know that, not just in Temora Shire, which we have to worry about firstly, but right across the region, the state and beyond. However, we have to consider what's before us and what we've heard. I'll go to Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I understand that there are some issues with the two-storey development, but this is the evolution of building. This is how it happens. It happens in the city. It happens, you know, as communities grow and towns grow, and it's just the way it goes. And there never seems to be too many issues that we hear from those places. And I mean, if anybody, you know, if as the developer said, if they want to have a look next door, they'll get on a box or stand on something to see what's going on. But I don't think people just stand at their windows and just look anyway. I mean, yeah. I don't have any problems with it, and if I was one of those neighbours, I wouldn't be concerned in the least. So, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thanks very much, Councillor Oliver. I go to Councillor Irvine.
Yeah, I've taken on board the concerns of the nearby residents, but also I've considered that, and as confirmed by the developer, being a two-storey building, they'll probably be less suitable for elderly residents who are more likely to have it, be in the residence all day, and more likely be rented out for younger people who are working. So consequently, I think most of the time during the day, the tenants or the units will be vacant, and I think the lots of privacy will be a lot less than perhaps the nearby residents are fearing. I note that the developer has agreed to the condition of extending at his own cost the footpath to connect that development to the council footpath networks. There's another 25 odd metres of footpath there that he's shelling out for, to sort of connect that. It's a pretty interesting development in that it's one-bedroom units which aren't in great supply in town. It's in walking distance to the pub, the ex-services club, the main street. Pretty handy and good for someone who wanted to just work in town, and even you could almost get away with not owning a car. So, you know, whilst I do take on board, I also do note that there was one comment made about overshadowing, and realistically that's not possible if you're the second block away from there and sun angles with the development to the north. It's just physically not possible. So, you know, while I take those concerns on board, I really do support this development as is, with the windows as per the original design.
Thanks very much, Councillor Irvine. Let's now go to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I tend to agree with Councillor Irvine as far as the demographic of the people who will be living there. It's certainly tending towards the younger people who will hopefully be out working during the day. No doubt it might be around the weekends, but yeah, so I don't think it'll be quite an issue. But at the same time, I can understand the people's concerns about people looking over into their backyard. Yes, once again, it's another great development, and yeah, I'd say go ahead.
Thanks, Mr Deputy Mayor. I now go to Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I think it's a good solution to our housing crisis. I do note that 2 of the rooms have full-size windows to the east and the west, so 2 of the stories will have that additional window anyway, so it's only the 2 central ones with the highlight windows. I did have a concern, although it's just really a request, concerning double glazing on the northern windows to just provide some sound insulation from the side entrance to the pub and any activity, you know, in the beer garden area, but that's just a request. I think it's a great development. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLaren. I go to the Town Planner.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm happy to put that request to the developer. I do think it is a good idea, given that it is a bedroom and they are across the road from the pub. It probably does make sense to have double glazing to assist with noise management.
Yeah, no, thanks very much. Councillors, go now to Councillor Bushell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a question with the town planner.
Yes.
Have they already submitted their BASICs for the development? Because sometimes the BASICs with this type of development would already classify double glazed and that already. So if you've got condition number 7, they would have to meet that anyway.
Thank you, Councillor Bushell. The Town Planner.
Just got the property file is up with the director's chair.
Well, you're welcome to come up, Madam Town Planner, and if you'd like to have a look-see.
I might just take that on notice for Councillor Bushell, and we'll confirm that after.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thanks, Councillor Bushell. Councillors, you have the report there for you to consider. And councillors, I'm happy to receive Councillor Good. Councillor Good, you're moving the recommendation that is council approved development application 7-2023 for multi-unit housing at 65 Loftus Street, Temora, subject to conditions which include the double glazing. Is that this? Subject to conditions, so full stop. Councillor McLaren, you're seconding that motion. Thank you very much. Discussion. Councillor Judd.
Do I take the recommendation includes regulation 35 about the windows?
Well, that's my understanding, but the town planner, just to clarify.
Yes, so currently at the moment, condition 35 includes the highlight windows or obscure glazing, but it's up to council if they decide to keep that or delete it, change it. It is council's decision.
Yeah, thank you. So as the motion stands now, yes, councillor Judd, and I thank the town planner. Further discussion, the Deputy Mayor.
Excuse me. Could the town planner just maybe expand on the highlight windows a bit?
Thank you. The town planner, could you elaborate on that, please?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So if councillors could imagine, so it's a horizontal window that the window sill of the window is 1.8 metres high. So certainly myself, I would not be able to see out that window. If you are a fair bit taller, you might be able to, but majority of people wouldn't be able to see out of that window.
Thank you. So councillors, you have a motion before you, and that is to approve the development application at 65 Loftus Street, subject to conditions. I go to further discussion, councillor Irvine.
Yeah, I'm looking at the plan on page 382, and it doesn't seem to show the highlight glazing, and I personally don't agree with that condition.
Thank you. Don't agree with the number 35, councillor Irvine? Okay, thank you. Further discussion, councillor, the Deputy Mayor, councillor Sinclair.
Yeah, I'm of the same opinion. I think it just doesn't seem right to me. Yeah, I'd like to see that condition taken out.
Well, thank you. I'll go to councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I support the comments of Councillor Irvine and Councillor Sinclair. I think it should be taken out as well. Thank you.
Thank you. The mover and seconder, I'm going to ask you whether you are willing to remove condition 35 or not. Sorry, councillor Bushell. I'll go to councillor. I'll go to councillor Bushell. I beg your pardon.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. So the rear-facing windows, they're facing south, correct? Correct, yep. So any windows facing south don't create a lot of thermal comfort. You want to be facing your northern and whatnot. So, you know, it's really just shedding a little bit of light in that room to give it some light and ventilation. So for me, it's not... I quite like condition number 35. We're looking after the residents nearby. I know that we've done it previously on another second-storey dwelling, and there's been no issues commented from that property owner, and it's been sold off, and the new owner doesn't mind them either, so I don't see any issue with it.
Thanks, councillor Bushell. Now I'm going to go back to councillor Good, councillor McLaren. Now, are you prepared to remove 35, or would you like to leave it in? Councillor McLaren?
Given that, I'm happy to leave it in only because there are two side windows that are at a normal height to let for view and lighting. So I'm quite happy that is a compromise for at least two of the units.
Yeah, thank you. The mover of the motion, councillor Good.
As the windows are 1.8 high, I agree with the town planner. It's very rare that someone would be able to look out of those anyway. So I'm comfortable with that 35 being removed. The first 35, not the second 35.
So yes, the first. So you're happy to have the first 35 removed,
Correct.
right? But now the second of the motion is not happy to do that, unless there's an amendment. Sorry, councillor Judd.
Yeah, I'll come in and make the motion, yes.
Okay, so I'll hold that thought. I'll go to councillor Irvine.
My understanding with the development that these are first floor lounge rooms. So I don't imagine sitting in your lounge room looking at a wall with a window up there is really amenable to, you know, relaxing in your lounge room. That's my understanding of the development at this point in time. And like I say, it's just, you can nearly look in their backyards from the balcony of the Termo that's been there for 100 years. That's, you know, I don't think it's a deal breaker. I think most of the time the residents are going to be home when the the residents of the units will be home when the people who use their backyards will be indoors.
Thank you, Councillor Irvine. Well, I need, first of all, to clarify, because currently we have Councillor Good and Councillor McLaren that have moved the recommendation, which appears on the screen, that we approve the development, which includes both points 35. Now, do you wish to withdraw? So you're moving that way still, Councillor McLaren. Do you wish to withdraw? So the original motion. Okay. So the original motion stands. So is there an amendment? Councillor Irvine.
Yeah, I'll move an amendment that we withdraw condition 35.
So we approve the development application with the withdrawal of the first 35, which says rear-facing first floor window design shall be amended to provide highlight windows with window sills 1.8 metres above floor level, or use of obscure glazing to provide privacy to the adjoining landowner. Thank you. Seconder for that amendment, the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair. So Councillor Irvine, the Deputy Mayor, has moved the amendment, and that is, of course, to take out 35. Is there further discussion on the amendment? If not, I'm going to put the amendment first. All those of that opinion, please raise your hands. To the contrary, so declare the amendment lost. The amendment comes to the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Now, we need to record that, Madam Director. So all those of that opinion that's supporting the motion, can you raise your hands, please? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Can you put your hands up if you agree with the motion?
Well, can you put your hands up, please, councillors, if you support the motion? Right, thank you. So we've recorded that. Thank you very much. The General Manager.
Just a matter of process, Mr Mayor, is that the councillors who voted against it because of clause 35 will be actually seen to be voting against it. I think what should happen is that the motion that was put before should have just been to delete motion 35, and then the next motion is for the development itself, to approve the development application. Because the four that didn't vote for the motion didn't disagree with the
That's right.
development.
So why are you saying it now?
It was an unintended consequence, Mr Mayor.
Yes, well, we need to be focused, don't we? Now, so Mr General Manager, what is your advice now, please?
I would suggest, with the concurrence of the movers, that the motion that was passed, instead of being resolved to approve it, be that item 35 be removed, and then the next motion should be to approve the development application.
Okay, so the mover and second are happy to do so. Thank you.
The amendment is the first motion, yes, and then the resolution becomes the second.
So the General Manager, can we sort this out, please?
Yes, the amendment was lost, so therefore the motion, you put the first bit, the motion, which is just to approve the development application, which is everyone agrees with. It's just the fact of that 35, but given the fact that that will be included in the motion. That makes sense?
The resolution.
No, it doesn't.
Comes down underneath the amendment, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, the resolution goes down with the amendment.
Well,
Yeah, the amendment.
The General Manager,
the amendment can stay as is, but you'll be voting separately, not for the original motion will be put, but instead of voting for the, because we didn't remember it was lost here. So you're voting for the conditions, knowing that it's difficult, isn't it?
It is very. I'm going to go now to Councillor Bushell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Could I make a suggestion about the motion as to whether it could be sort of, maybe it could be sort of itemised in a way that might be easier to understand in the motion?
Thank you. Well, beg pardon?
So,
That's exactly right.
So you could
we
have
need to
subject-
sort this out because this is very, very untidy and very, very
so you could have subject to
unwieldy.
conditions 1 to 36 as presented in the report.
That original resolution at the top there, make that
Yeah.
subject to condition.
Conditions 1 to 36 noted within the report. And then that way it still says that item 35 be removed, or make it condition number 35 be removed. So that way it does highlight that there's been some thought about it being removed. Is that what you're saying? But then we all can vote on the motion at the end because we all agree to the application being approved. Is that? Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Bushell. I'm going to Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I think technically we need to leave it how it is because the motion's been passed, the resolution's been lost, and so the original motion became the resolution which has been passed. If we are going to change it, we would have to have a rescission motion.
That's very true, and that's the view that I hold. The General Manager.
The difficulty is the recording of the votes, and you know if the motion is put as it was before, with the knowledge that you're voting for the resolution for the approval of the development application, because the amendment was lost, so it's not going to change. Though I think you'd have a different result.
Councillor Good.
The resolution has been passed though, so I think the way I see it from my perspective is that the resolution's been passed, whether or not people have voted against it, doesn't matter in relation to the motion. It just matters as to who has voted for it and who has voted against it.
Thank you. The Director of Administration and Finance.
Because it's a planning decision, we have to specify
Record.
who voted for and against. So there's two councillors, I think, who have voted against or who didn't vote for that motion.
I guess
General Manager.
I guess the question is whether the councillors who voted on the original motion were aware that their vote would be recorded against the resolution, and would vote the same way with that knowledge.
I'm sorry, Mr. General Manager. I don't understand. We've had a motion that was put before us. We've had an amendment. The amendment became the motion. I asked all those of that opinion, and there were some that weren't in favour of before that had raised their hand to support it.
Yeah.
General Manager.
That's fine. If councillors are happy with that, that's fine.
Thank you. So, councillors, we're now voting on, of course, where were we at before I was interrupted?
Can we just get, Mr Mayor, those who voted in favour of the resolution?
So those in favour of the resolution, which is on the motion of Councillor Good and Councillor McLaren, the resolve that Council approve the development application 7-2023 for multi-unit housing at 65 Loftus Street, Temora, subject to conditions 1 to 36 as noted in the report. So all those of that opinion, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Declare the motion carried. And of course, those that didn't vote are deemed to have voted against. Thank you. Thank you very much, councillors, and we apologise for that. Let's proceed on to page 405, 14.8, sorry, can we have, thank you, the Director of Environmental Services back, please? Right. I just don't.
They weren't voting against it. They just didn't understand what they were voting for.
Anyway, that's all right. Thank you, Mr. Director. During your lengthy absence, Council have resolved to approve the recommendations and conditions 1 to 36. And there were some councillors that were opposed to that, and they have been recorded. Councillors, we go to page 405, 14.8, draft conflict of interest policy for council-related development, completion of exhibition. The Director.
As reported, Mr Mayor, this requires council to adopt to formalise the process.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Councillors, you have the report and recommendation there for you to consider. Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Good has moved the recommendation. Is there a seconder? The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, moved and seconded. Is further discussion? If not, I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very, very much. Let's go to page 413, 14.9, the Federal Government's Local Roads and Community Infrastructure Program Round 4. The Director.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. This report's just reporting on the outcome of a workshop held last Tuesday for Council's action.
Thanks, Mr. Director. Councillors, you have a report there, and thank you, councillors, for workshopping this round of funding for the local roads community infrastructure, and there's some excellent programs there that are brought before us. There's a recommendation for council to consider. Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Good has moved the recommendation. Seconded, Councillor Judd. Thank you. Moved. Seconded. Is there further discussion? Councillor Irvine.
Just in the papers, there's no mention of the attachments that were with that stuff at the workshop.
So would you not have those from the workshop, Councillor Irvine?
Yeah, there was just no mention in the papers, so I was just wondering whether they were going to be mentioned.
Well, my understanding that'd be part of the official documentation, Mr. Director.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It was there were documents in the business paper, so you're wondering whether they need to be mentioned in here somewhere. Is that the question?
Oh, there was a number of attachments. One of the attachments, of course, was the letter from Lake Centenary Committee, I think. Seems to have not made it through. Area
So
Park Advisory. Is that the same workshop, or am I mistaken?
No, the General Manager.
No, that was the operational plan workshop.
Ah, the operational plan. Thank you.
Thank
My
you.
mistake.
If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Page 415, 14.10, Caravan Park Workshop. The Director.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Just a dot point summary of some of the issues discussed at our workshop on the committee day. The main two take-homes is the request to allocate the funding of some solar panels and some hard stand areas for the caravans for 6 sites to be referred to the 2023-24 budget for consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Director. Councillor McLaren, you'll move the recommendation that we note the report. Thank you. Moves second, Councillor Judd. Thank you. Moved and seconded. Is there further discussion? Councillor Good.
Yes, I have a question to the Director. Did we attempt to get quotes from local solar providers?
Thanks, Councillor Good. The Director.
That was just a quote for the purposes of the workshop. It was done by a contractor who he had in town doing another job. Once the money is allocated, we'll go to and get quotes off several contractors, including locals.
Thanks, Mr Director. Thank you, Councillor Good. If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion from Councillor McLaren and Councillor Judd that Council notes the report. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much indeed. Nothing of an urgent late nature, Mr Director?
No, Mr Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillors, let's go over to page 438, Administration Finance Department report. We have nil to report. The Director?
I've had a small project that's still work in progress. Being the budget.
The budget, that's
no,
right.
nothing this month, sorry.
No, thank you. We know you're working hard in your team, and Council are grateful for that. I was just being a bit cheeky. Council, just under the portfolio of Administration Finance, I know that I've had a couple of councillors ask about the monthly reports we're receiving from the Economic Development Manager. I understand the Director informs us that will be happening. From next month, and I know Council really appreciated those updates. And regardless of whether we have an Economic Development Committee meeting, I know that you did appreciate that. So we're pleased to hear that, and thank you. Now, councillors, let's go to page 439, correspondence 16.1, Palm Sunday, the General Manager.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The Temora Christian leaders are just requesting approval to use Gloucester Park for the Palm Sunday service. There's nothing required of us, just approval for the event.
Thank you very much. Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move that we approve the request.
Thank you. And the Deputy Mayor, you've seconded the motion. Thank you. Moved Councillor Good, seconded the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, that Council accede to the request. Discussion. There's no further discussion. I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you very much. Page 441, 16.2, Bondi to Barossa, the General Manager.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. This is Council might have been last month, but we had received an approach from the Bondi to Barossa ride, which was coming through Temora. Council approved that ride, which was virtually a matter of just allowing them to use our roads. They've now come back to us as they're coming through on the 19th and 20th of March and requested, given their fundraising for dementia, that Council provide assistance by way of some donation.
Thank you, Mr General Manager. Councillor Irvine.
I'd prefer not to dig into Council's donations budget. I'd prefer to see that preserved for very local projects and very local organisations. I've got no problems with what these guys are doing, and I'm sure it's a worthy cause. And I'm sure they'll raise lots of money for their cause along the way, but I really do think this our donations budget is for very local projects.
Thanks very much, Councillor Irvine. I go to Councillor Oliver.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. I concur with Councillor Irvine. I think we should just keep our donations for our local people and not... And I appreciate what they're doing, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I go to the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Yeah, thanks, Mr Mayor. I think that $500 is probably a bit much. I was considering, maybe $100, and then also not as much time anyway, but advertise on the council website and so forth. But look, dementia affects all communities. I think we all know people who, either family members or people, friends or stuff that's suffered from it, and it seems to be getting more common. So, I'd like to see council support in a small way at least.
Bless you. Thank you, Mr Deputy Mayor. I'll go to, bless you, Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm sort of thinking a bit differently. This organisation, the paperwork we got last time was very extensive. There's a lot of work involved in it, and they're obviously doing it to raise money. The fact that they're coming through tomorrow, they're staying a night, there will be, I'd imagine there'd be substantial money spent in the town, and it's something that I'd like to give them the $500 that they've requested. It's something that where we appreciate what they're doing, not only for the town but for dementia as well, that they are supporting the town. If we don't, then people, if they're looking for something like this, they may not come through the town, they may not stop. So I think it's something we should encourage this, and because it's a fundraiser, there'll be other people who'll be following where they're going and what they're doing, and so I think we can get some good publicity for the town here, and I don't think we should be looking stingy. And so I move that we accede to the request and grant them $500 donation.
Thank you, Councillor Good. Is there a seconder for the motion? Is there a seconder for the motion? The third and final call. Is there a seconder for the motion? We're all watching our pennies, Councillor Good. The motion lapses for want of a seconder. I'm happy to receive a further motion as the Deputy Mayor.
I'll move that we donate $100 towards the assistance and advertise.
Promote the event.
Yeah, website, council website.
Thanks, Mr Deputy Mayor. Seconder for the motion, Councillor Judd. Thank you. Moved, seconded. Further discussion? Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I just, at some point we have to say no, because we just can't keep giving money away all the time. It's just not sustainable. And Councillor Good's quite right that the town will benefit from these people being here, but the businesses and the shops that do benefit, they're probably the ones that should be giving the donations, not council all the time. So anyway, I just had to air that out. So I've said it, and
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. And look, I hold the view. I support the motion. I did initially, when I first read this, agree with Councillor Irvine's view, but then I analysed it over the years I've been on council, and there is precedent for us to contribute to organisations outside. But dementia has touched us all in many and varied ways, our loved ones and family, friends. And I do feel that there is some obligation from council to make a reasonable contribution. I think the motion before us is reasonable, and I would believe that they would be grateful for anything that they receive. And if us as individual councillors or staff members, businesses, citizens wish to donate, we encourage them to do so if that's within their means. Moved and seconded. Councillor Oliver.
yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Just one other comment I'd like to make. When this budget that runs out before the 30th of June, it'll be now $1,780.20. When that $1,780.20 is gone, what do we do then? Do we dip into our coffers then, don't we? So, I mean, all of this affects our bottom line, and as you keep saying, we've got to start pulling our horns in a little bit, so just can't keep going on. Thank you.
Councillor Oliver, you are...
I am Mr Scrooge.
Councillor Oliver, you are... Look, what you're saying does make sense. My understanding is that is the budget, and if council has things that go over that, then it's a matter for council to determine how they wish to fund a particular issue. But you are right. It is going to be tough, and I know the Director has already flagged that in a very serious way. It's going to be tough. But again, this motion is there for council to consider. There's no further discussion on the motion, and that is that council donates $100 to the Bondi to Barossa and advertise on council social media platforms. If there's no further discussion, and that's been moved by the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, and seconded Councillor Judd. If there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. The contrary, no. I declare the motion carried, and Councillor Oliver, Councillor Irvine have voted against, and I thank you, councillors. Councillors, page 440 Oh, sorry, Mr General Manager, are there any urgent late items of correspondence, please?
No, Mr Mayor.
No, thank you. Councillors, 443, business with notice. We have over on page 444, notice of motion, 18.1. Councillor McLaren.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move this motion, please.
Thank you. So Councillor McLaren is moving the following motion. One, that Council make urgent representations to our federal member, the Honourable Michael McCormack MP, in relation to a sustainable funding model for the continuation of free access to the Trove National Database and upgrade of the digital archive systems of Trove. Number 2, write to the Federal Minister for Arts, the Honourable Tony Burke MP, and the Shadow Minister for Arts, the Honourable Paul Fletcher MP, calling for sustainable funding to ensure the continuation of free access to the Trove National Database and upgrade of the digital archive systems of Trove. And finally, that Council support the efforts of the New South Wales Public Libraries Association in lobbying for additional funding for the continuation of free access to the Trove National Database and upgrade of the digital archive systems of Trove. Thank you. Sorry, Councillor, the General Manager.
Was that motion seconded? Yeah, Mr Mayor.
No, I'm just saying that Councillor McLaren is moving that motion and I'm about to ask for a seconder. Councillor Good, are you seconding the motion?
Please.
Thank you. Moved and seconded. Discussion. Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This motion, I think, is well overdue. I've been involved with the Heritage Committee for a long time. Initially, the Trove started to digitalise historical newspapers. They've done the big newspapers. They weren't doing, well, they hadn't done any of the Temora newspapers. So the Heritage Committee, in conjunction with Trove, started doing that. We contributed to Trove scanning digitalising optical character recognition so you could search the articles. We've done all the newspapers in the Temora Shire other than the Temora Independent. So we've had various newspapers over the time. And after we finished doing the other newspapers, Trove then discontinued the what we were involved with them. So we now, the Heritage Committee is contributing or is slowly digitalising the Temora Independent. To give it to Trove, they charge $2 a page to upload it. We digitalise something like, I think, 1,000 pages a year. Actually, it might be more than that. It might be 10,000 pages a year. So to put the Temora Independent onto Trove is just uneconomical at them. And so what we've done is it's available at the local library. So it's something that it is a unique resource for Australia. It's something that's used by millions of people, and it's our history, and it should be freely available and should continue and should be suitably funded.
Thank you very much, Councillor Good. Councillor McLaren, did you wish to add anything to your motion, please?
Look, Councillor Good has said everything. I agree wholeheartedly with him. It is one of the most visited sites on the web, and regional areas really do suffer from lack of access to our national institutions like the National Library, so we just don't have it on our doorstep. We have a very passionate community for history, and that shows in all the numerous historical books we've got written on various parts of our shire, and those works just couldn't be done without the resources of Trove. So thank you.
Thanks very much, Councillor McLaren. Something I wanted to just mention to Councillor McLaren and Councillor Good that I've just reading the motion that's before us. The protocol, as the General Manager would know, that saying that we make representations to our federal member, which is excellent, but then we're also saying that we write to the Federal Minister for Arts and the Shadow Minister for Arts, whereas normally we'd write to the federal member to make representations to the Federal Minister for Arts and the Shadow Minister. That's all. And I'm just... I just wonder whether that could be rejigged, because if we write to the federal member, then we also write to the federal and shadow. The local member will have already written, if you know what I mean, and therefore it just looks, it's a bit clunky, that's all. So, Councillor McLaren?
We could combine 1 and 2 and to the effect that
Yeah.
we make representations to Michael McCormack MP
To make representations.
make representations to the following.
Yeah, okay. You're happy with that?
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Irvine. Councillor Good, you're happy as a seconder. Thank you very much. Moved and seconded. Discussion, the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair.
Just, would the federal member also include the Shadow Minister in that? Would he also write to the Shadow Minister?
Well, if that's the...
We ask him.
Yeah, that's right. If we ask him, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so councillors, you've got the motion before you. Further discussion? If not, I'm going to put the motion to you. All those of that opinion... Councillor... No? So we've got it documented, haven't we? Oh, it's already on the screen. Excellent. So move and second are happy with the screen? Okay, thank you. I'll put the motion to you. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. And I thank Councillor McLaren for the notice of motion. We go now to the next notice of motion on page 446, 18.2, Police, Councillor Good.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I would like to move this motion, and there's a couple of reasons why I'd like to move this motion. First of all, to congratulate the police on the excellent job that they did. There was a break-in at a local business, and it was on a Saturday night. And then the perpetrator was convicted and jailed by Friday. So that's 6 days between the break-in and him going to jail. It's excellent work that the police have done. And secondly, to encourage local people that if there are break-ins, to report them to the police, to show that they do get results, but they can only get results if they are informed of the break-in and they're able to get forensic evidence. And I was discussing the matter with Senior Constable Atkins. He said that quite often they're not informed of break-ins, or if someone breaks in, they're not informed of everything that's taken, because at this person's place there were lots of things that they found, and they didn't know who belonged to them because they hadn't been reported stolen. So it's those two reasons that I would like to move this motion.
Thanks very much, Councillor Good, and I take that motion. And the seconder, Councillor Oliver. Councillor Oliver is the chairman of the Temora Police Community Consultative Committee, and I'm sure would be pleased to see this motion come before council. Councillors, discussion on the motion. I just applaud Councillor Good for bringing a motion like this to us. It's sometimes easy to criticise and to praise, and I'm sure the police get their fair share of criticism, but when good works occur, then they need to be shouted loudly and proudly, and I do thank you for bringing this to council. Is there any further discussion? I go to Councillor Oliver.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I think it's appropriate that we give recognition for their good work. They do a lot of stuff that we don't really know about. So I know from some vandalism that we've had at the railway station, they usually know what's going on. It's pretty much always the same people that offend, but quite right that people do report all these incidents, because it's usually one or two that do the jobs and stuff. So yeah, I think it's a good motion. So thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Councillor Oliver. I go to Councillor Judd.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd just like to also commend Senior Constable Atkins. He's the one that's stationed at Airy Park at the moment.
Yeah.
And Constable Atkins come from the busy Wollongong patrol, and I think he expressed to me he was a bit worried when he moved up here that it was going to be too quiet. So, so I'm glad he's been able to get busy on the job. So thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Judd. Well, councillors, if there's no further discussion, I'll put the motion that has been moved by Councillor Good and seconded Councillor Oliver, that council express appreciation for the excellent work carried out recently by local police. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. I declare the motion carried. Thank you again, Councillor Good. Councillors, over to page 448. Any urgent business without notice, and the definition of urgent?
Those items that require a decision, a resolution of council before the next ordinary meeting.
Yeah, thank you. So we're all learning. I go to Councillor Judd.
Oh, I did send an email in about asking for a report from the assets manager on the recent flooding or whatever. So.
Yes, Councillor Judd, you did send a report in relation to that, and I will accept that as, because technically it was, given, notice was given, so I'll go to the engineering assets manager, if you're able to comment, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. If I'm honest, there's not much to report. I think, it was really significant rain, but I guess it just goes to show how much a dry catchment affects stormwater runoff. I actually went out at 3 o'clock in the morning on Monday night or whatever it was. I seen we'd had 80 mil, and I thought I might just go and have a look at a couple of things, and the only water that was entering the dam at Gardner Street at Golden Gate Reserve was from the industrial area catchment, or the Nixon Park catchment. The golf club dam never spilled, and at that particular time, after sort of 75 or 80 mil, the Grain Corp leg of the catchment wasn't running either. So it was interesting. We had close over 100 mil. We had about 110 mil in town, and there was no flooding at all. The water levels didn't get as high as they had in storms 12 months ago. And the only other thing I'd point out is if that particular storm came 12 months ago on a wet catchment, it would have been the worst we'd had.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, and thank you, Councillor Judd. Councillors, no further urgent business without notice. We proceed over to page 449, the Councillor's information paper. A motion to receive the paper, please. Thank you. The Deputy Mayor, Councillor Reinhold, moved and seconded. Further discussion? No further discussion. Put the motion. All those of that opinion, please say aye. Contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. Councillors, any items? Note Councillor Judd's lovely letter of appreciation to Council for the Freedom of the Shire honour that was bestowed. Thank you, Councillor Judd. Other items, councillors? Councillor Bushell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just in regards to the River and JO minutes,
Yep.
you've got these resolutions to contact certain departments on relevant items. Do you guys put that in the minutes the next meeting? I'm just not sure what gets minuted to say what the outcome is. I'm just very interested to hear about representation regarding the portal and its user friendly for first time users for the planning portal, New South Wales planning portal.
Thank you, Councillor Bushell. So on page, what page, sorry, are you up to? Beg pardon? 500.
Page 500.
Thank you. Oh, about the New South Wales planning portal. Yes, of course. That will be furnished as part of correspondence and therefore form part of the minutes of which you will receive in due course. So that'll get tabled one way or the other. Exactly, because we seem to be on our own, to be frank, didn't we, Mr. General Manager? There didn't seem to be many others. I think there were some, but we just said, well, we've got to reflect what we believe, and that's our strong view, and we represented that, the General Manager, the Deputy Mayor. So yes, that will be filtered through any correspondence in terms of a response. Thank you. Any other items, councillors, information paper? Councillor Judd.
I just note a letter from Transport New South Wales on page 50708 about, I just note the point about gophers and that being limited to 10 k's an hour, I think, so I'm pretty sure there's a number of them around can be doing more than that, so.
Yeah, very good, very good observation, Councillor Judd. Very much so. Nothing further. Councillor Oliver?
Oh, just a flippant remark, but I think regulating the speed of gophers is a little bit like those compression signs they put up. They're not adhered to, so they'll just keep going flat knacker. So.
Thank you very much. Well, councillors, there's nothing further information paper. In accordance with section 10A of the Local Government Act 1993, advise there are several matters that are deemed confidential, and accordingly I require a motion to have those matters considered. Thank you, Councillor Bushell. Thank you, Councillor Reinhardt. Moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Thank you. And again, it's good to have our Engineering Environmental Secretary with us again, learning the ropes from Mrs. Rands. Now, so we're ready to proceed into open council. Thank you very much. I advise that the following motions have been brought forward by council from closed session into open session. The motion to move into confidential, the motion of Councillor Bushell and Councillor Reinhold, the motion was carried and we proceeded into closed session at 5:51 p.m. Minutes of the Assets and Operations Committee held on the 7th of March 2023 on the motion of the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair and Councillor Oliver, it was resolved that the reports be received and the motion was carried. The motion of Councillor Good and the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair, it was resolved that the remainder of the reports and recommendations as presented be adopted and the motion was carried. Staff recognition flooding 2022, Councillor Bushell and the Director of Administration and Finance declared a non-pecuniary interest and vacated, I beg your pardon, a non-pecuniary interest. On the motion of Councillor Good and Councillor Irvine, it was resolved that Council adopt option 1 and the motion was carried. Staff recognition heavy patching, Councillor Bushell and the Director of Administration and Finance declared a pecuniary interest and left the meeting at 5:57 p.m. And on the motion of Councillor McLaren and Councillor Good, it was resolved that the report is referred to the April Assets and Operations Committee meeting. And the motion was carried. Councillor Bushell and the Director returned to the meeting at 6:03 p.m. Permanent road closure. On the motion of Councillor Oliver and Councillor McLaren, it was resolved that Council note the report and the motion was carried. Access agreement for mineral exploration. On the motion of the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair and Councillor Good, it was resolved that Council take option 1 as provided within legal advice in relation to this matter and the motion was carried. Planning proposal Loftus Street. On the motion of Councillor Oliver and Councillor Bushell, it was resolved that Council 1 support the preparation of the planning proposal for the identified sites including council-owned land, and number 2, receive a future report once the planning proposal is complete, and 3, that it includes additional adjoining land as part of the study, and the motion was carried. The motion of the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Sinclair and Councillor Reinhold, it was resolved that Council moves the motions from closed session into open and the motion was carried. On the motion of Councillor McLaren and Councillor Judd, it was resolved that Council moves out of closed council and into open session at 6:25 p.m. and that motion was carried. Those are the resolutions, councillors, and could I please have a motion to formally adopt those motions from closed into open? Councillor Good. Thank you, Councillor Reinhold. Moved and seconded. All those of that opinion, please say aye. To the contrary, no. Declare the motion carried. Councillors, I thank you very, very much for your contributions and you've all done very well, and I declare the meeting closed at 6:30 p.m.